business card reads what they call Manager of Operational Excellence. Long story. 35 years of manufacturing with a variety of different businesses. I've been with MMTC for 9 years now, and just kind of helping businesses grow and thrive. And part of that is also the implementation of technologies. Gentlemen, if we just kind of go down the row, who are you? What do you work for? A little bit about yourselves.
Okay. Sean Hilbert from Cobra Moto and Cobra Aero down in Hillsdale. We do a variety of things, including we're an end-to-end motorcycle manufacturer for the youth competition market. And on the aerospace side of things, Cobra Aero, we do mostly propulsion systems for what are called Group 2 and Group 3 drone aircraft. So mostly military.
Jake Sponsler, president of Orbitform. I've been with Orbitform about 20 years, implementing different forming and fastening and assembly technology, including automation, and then implementing it on our manufacturing side as well to support our equipment business.
And hey everyone, my name is Stephen Helmanen. I am the Industry 4.0 Program Manager at MMTC. So we're a nonprofit helping small and medium-sized manufacturers with the adoption of technology and the education of what the technology options are. 12 years in industry, various implementations from software to robotics to some of your more lean principles. But yeah, happy to be here.
My name is Josh Clark. I am the owner of Angling AI. We are a .com where we manufacture our own aluminum soft plastic fishing lure molds that we sell all around the world. I'm the owner, and this is our 15th year in business, making aluminum molds so people can make their own fishing lures.
That's awesome.
All right. So I'm going to start out with a few questions, unless you brought questions with. All right, well, think hard. You're going to be challenged. So I got some questions that we'll start out with, but please feel free to let me know if there's something that you would like the panel to address as we go along. I guess I'm going to start with Jake. Talk to me a little bit about, when we're a small to mid-sized manufacturer, it's not the same, right? There's no money bags. I can't just drop 1.2 on something. So I really kind of have to spend some time thinking about how I'm going to approach automation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, if you're just getting into the thought of automation, which I suggest everybody should, we have a lot of customers that come to us and they say, we want to automate this line. We want to automate this process. And they want to eat the whole elephant in one fell swoop. They don't have any of the infrastructure needed to support it or the knowledge base to support it. And so they could spend $1.2 million and have a boat anchor. So that's something that we advise strongly against, and we gear them towards how do you take one small bite of automation, learn what you need to learn, and then be able to learn from that, take the next step and just build on it, build that momentum, because it's all about how do you build an automation strategy that's going to carry forward for a number of years, not how do we get it all accomplished this year.
That's outstanding. It's very sound too, because you want to build on success, right?
Yep.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to that too. I mean, this is my heuristic. My rule of thumb is that you generally get your biggest ROI automating about 80% of the task. Once you start trying to go fully automated, that's where the cost kind of skyrockets. So if you have a cobot tending application, you can have an operator bring a tray of parts to that cobot. It can pick those parts and load it into said machine. If you want that to be automatically fed, let's say a bowl feeder, that's another $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of cost getting that bowl feeder to automate that input. So when you're thinking about starting small and scaling, you don't need to automate the full application to 100% lights out ability. There's great benefit in automating about 80% of that task. It's easier to maintain. It's more manageable. Your team can grow with the automation as you grow. So I second what Jake is saying, is start small, automate about 80% of the task, and then continue to add on complexity as you become more mature as an organization.
Good. Hey, while we're on this, we were talking a little bit before we started the panel. And Sean, you were talking a little bit about implementing some technology in your facility as well. And one of the things we don't just buy a robot, drop it in the middle of our floor, and it does stuff. Talk a little bit about assumptions or considerations when you're actually moving forward with the automation.
Yeah, that was kind of key in our automation journey, and I think if we could define automation a little bit, I think that's one of the misnomers right now. Automation these days, a lot of the times means loading and unloading, robotic arms and things like that. But going back 50, 60 years, CNC equipment and now additive manufacturing equipment, there's a lot of automation there as well. But we're layering on top of that. And one of the things that we did recently was we purchased a cobot with the help of a Industry 4.0 grant from the MMTC to do a very specific job for us. So we're a facility that has high mix and low volume. So that's not a golden case for automation, right? If you have to manage that kind of facility, a lot of times manual work is a lot easier. So we looked for an opportunity, and that opportunity came in the form of our highest volume part, and a part that was a very short cycle time, and one that we knew we could automate the quality assurance inside the machine. And so when we put those three things together, and we realized that it was better for the workforce not to have somebody standing over a machine with a 1:30 cycle time for 3 weeks out of his or her month every month. That's the kind of work that we identify that we need to automate. And so the journey's been an interesting one for us. We got everything wrong. We got our pick and place table wrong. We got our end effectors wrong. We got our fixturing in the lathe wrong. So we're learning as we go here, but it's so far so good. And maybe another consideration for us is before COVID, we had a second shift in our machine shop. After COVID, we could not staff a second shift. I don't know if anybody else has had a similar experience or not, but just trying to find folks that were willing to miss family dinners and baseball games and all those kind of things. Third shift, you can staff all day long. First shift, you can staff all day long, but in our estimation, you cannot have a first and a third shift. You have to have a continuous operation, and so trying to find ways to extend that first shift into the evening was another consideration that we're working on as well.
Good.
Josh, I'm going to throw a question down. So with automation, and as you're bringing in automation and thinking about workforce, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, obviously we can use dull, dirty, dangerous. Everybody's probably heard those phrases by now about automation and robotics and trying to write. Not only don't I want an operator standing in front of a machine watching it turn and changing, it's boring for the operator, right? Mm-hmm. But in addition to trying to make up for workforce we can't find, we still have workforce in our facilities.
Correct.
And this workforce is being asked to digest and learn and adopt a different way of life from maybe what they originally hired into. How do you walk that balance between automation or machinery and workforce?
Well, with my company, we do it in two ways. One with culture. We are so proud of the culture that we have in our building. We are a work family, right? So we have developed this nucleus to where it got to the point where some of us were afraid to hire somebody else because we're like, what's one more person going to do to our dynamic, right? So, I mean, we can have those open conversations with each other and talk about what what we might be afraid of. So, again, very open conversations with my employees who give me genuine feedback. And then secondly, I tacked on profit share into the 401k. So the first year profit share was available, which was 2 years ago. We did a 3% profit share, which happened to be the same year we introduced our automation. So this year profit share was 8.9%. So
That's outstanding.
Coupled that.
So yeah, from a change management standpoint, so we teach change management, and there's like 6 things that you need for successful change, and 2 of the important ones. One is incentive. Is there an incentive for it? Right. It sounds like you're addressing that. The other one, the big one that I think you hit on though, is that openness and that communication, because that builds consensus.
Yeah.
And the other 5 are kind of program management or project management bullet points, but that last one, that consensus, the ability to speak openly, is probably key to me, because you can always go forward with something and have somebody at the last minute kind of go, nah.
And to tack onto that, just because it's automated, just because it's, they're supposed to be hands off, it is more maintenance required. So it's like, oh, here's this thing that potentially is supposed to take our jobs, but now they're finding out, like, we got a lot more to do with this. And I always told them, I was like, when you're running your machine, it's like driving a car. It's like when you're setting this up to run for the next 40 hours, you're flying an airplane, right? A lot more. And then now they understand, like, they still need to do tasks. Like, it's not there to replace them. They're there to work together and increase production and profitability.
Yeah, I think part of it is really you're painting the picture for them of what the future state looks like. Part of that is their skills are higher. They're able to support automation, right? So there's a huge benefit to them being able to interface with it. And I love the idea, and I think it's critical to have the buy-in and the participation up front. So they're part of the process of defining the problem and helping create the solution, and at least coming alongside you in terms of the discussion and the analysis of what you're trying to do.
No, I agree. Without that consensus, right? The way I look at it is that you're probably going to get some level of resentment, right? Because I'm making decisions moving in a direction and I'm kind of not taking everybody on the bus with. The way it's actually written is a failure to get consensus can actually be up to and including what they'll call sabotage.
Yep.
Right? You'll actually have people that are working against it. I don't like to believe that myself. I'm a glass half full type of person. But I've had conversations with Mr. Collin down there, and he says in the world of software implementations, sabotage is absolutely in the realm. Steve, while I got you on the hook down there, something that we focus on, right? Because we go in and we look at businesses and try to figure out what people should maybe be doing. What are the most significant benefits? Automation, robotics, and I guess let's not stick to robotics, but just automation in general.
Yeah.
What are some of the benefits that it brings to manufacturing?
Yeah, I mean, I like what Sean said. I mean, as far as automation isn't just a robot or isn't just an articulated robot. It comes in many different shapes and forms. I mean, a CNC machine is actually a form, if it's a turning center, is a type of automation. It's commonplace now. So what people think of as articulated robot, camera systems and things of that nature. But to answer that question, some of the benefits that you get through automation, there's some of the classic things that you will get. You'll get, generally speaking, you get a higher quality through that operation because it's more predictable. The robot will do exactly what you program it to do, or the CNC machine will do exactly what you program it to do. In addition to that, you get some of the upskilling opportunities that we've already talked about. Like Sean, I was talking to a manufacturer the other week where they're seeing an insulation through automation to the tense labor market that's out there. So they're able to more reliably schedule their production. Flexibility, there's some opportunities for flexibility as well, as far as, I would run this job on this machine, but now I can run it over on this machine, given some automation that I have. So quality, you have generally a more lean workflow. You have some labor insulation if you need it. You have the upskilling opportunity. These are all benefits that you get through automation. And generally speaking, you're going to be reducing your costs or increasing your productivity. So those are all kind of stated benefits that you get through automation.
And I'd say that's your operational benefit. When you look at it from a corporate standpoint or a strategic standpoint, where there's a lot of our customers that are bringing work back into the U.S. and they want to automate it because they're still trying to compete with different market wages. And so the only way they're going to do that is with the automation. So it provides them, market opportunity. It provides them competitive advantage, and all those things that the faster, more efficient process can provide for the organization, which inherently provides opportunity for the employees of the organization.
It brings a good point. So just from a competitiveness, right? Other companies or other countries we know have been able to steal business or move business by dint of just having a cheaper labor force, right? And they've been doing it, but even those countries, and I just calling through there, and China is out there right now, Project 2025, which they're rolling into, and they're actually working on a new set of goals, and their target is really to do both. One is to automate wherever possible. Because if we automate, we become very competitive. If they want to stay competitive, they'll have to do the same thing. But even more so, they want to be making 80% of the robots that they're going to be using, which builds their own business. So a lot of times automation itself, in fact, you guys are all kind of proof and putting of that, is that automation itself is a business. You are manufacturers, right? So even those that are supplying our technology are manufacturers in a way. Do we have any questions out here from the audience? Are we inquisitive? Are we caffeinated? Are we sugared up to an appropriate level? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you guys a little bit. So, little background about my company. We've been using equipment from literally the 1920s. We kind of put our own automation on it. We have been producing the same part for 25 years. Very small. I mean, we're 20 to 30-ish people. High profitability on our part. Sell me on why would I change what we have right now? The profitability is great. The machines are working. They're old mechanical machines. And I'm very nervous to look towards more automation or industry 4.0 because it's working. So challenge me. I want to hear it.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys go first.
I have a question. I have a question back for you.
Cool. Question.
How have you wrung out the opportunities that you have? I mean, and one of the issues I think with automation is everybody looks at it like it's the easy button, but there's so many other areas, as I think you well know, inside a business that you can gain efficiencies. You know, going from an old school, just because you have old school machines doesn't mean you have to have old school processes. And so do you have a master schedule push system, or have you gone implemented lean techniques and things like that to really squeeze out all the efficiency that you probably currently have in the system anyway? So you have. So then the next step is run the. If you have a process, and this is where we struggle because we don't have processes that have been around for a long time and that are high volume, and so calculating an ROI on a given piece of equipment is difficult. And so, I think that's your answer, is going in and doing a deep dive on what the ROI on something like that would be.
That's my concern. When you implement, it costs money. So it has to make sense for us. And, we've been doing so well. I hate to dip into that profit margin unless there's a return on that investment.
Are you?
I'm guessing that's where you would come in to kind of walk me through.
We can come in. We can do a technology opportunity assessment. I mean, the great thing about old pieces of equipment is they've been paid off and probably 10 times over. So never install technology for the sake of installing technology. It should be solving a problem. You can even look at your data flows that you have. If it's not operationally, can we automate some of our workflows that we have as far as data and some of the admin work that we do? Labor, how are we doing on labor? Are we staffed appropriately?
Well, we are unique, our company is, because a lot of the culture, but we went 2 years without being invited anybody. So
fantastic.
We're good to go there.
Yeah.
And we're small, it's a family, just like you're talking about. So I have, listening to you kind of helped me feel a little better about, we do profit share, we do all these things.
Right.
Trying to give a return on their investment too as the employees is important to me.
Yeah, if it's not immediately clear what the problem is that you're solving, I would not advocate for technology or automation. Some of the cases that I would make, like our labor, like right now, K through 12, there's roughly 700,000 less kids in the K through 12 system today than there were in 1970. So that's your future workforce. So looking ahead at your future workforce, if you have labor issues now, they're only going to get more difficult the more that we go, into the future. So if you are starting to begin having it, and that's the number one reason that when we work with a customer for an automation project, the number one reason why they're pursuing that project is because they can't find the folks to work the machine or the process today. That's the number one reason that we have manufacturers come to us. If you don't have that problem, there are obviously other benefits that we talked about with automation, but you already have paid off equipment. You have high profitability, like you mentioned. There may not be a great case for automation on the operation side.
Yeah. I'd like to put out a couple bullet points. One is with the old equipment, as it's so antiquated, something breaks, are you going to be able to fix it? That's something that you want to consider, right? And how much is one of those machines being down costing the company? Those are things that I would consider. Secondly, do you want to scale production? Do you need to start making more parts where you don't have any more of that equipment? So now what are we going to do? We've only got so many 1950 machines, but next year we're projected to sell, 25% more. What do? I would consider, and the nature of your business, if it's one part, like you can't make it any more simple, right? And there are the right vendors that are out there that are willing to speak with you and talk to you about machines and automation. The right ones will make that part for you before you start. Like, hey, listen, we do this on this machine with this, and here's the cost to implement. Here's your production time, and is this part acceptable? Yeah, and you already can quantify everything. So that's how I would try to sell you, is like, if you want to scale, automation's a really good option.
Yeah, I think if you balled a couple of those comments up, it's really risk mitigation, right? What are the threats to the business? Current business is doing well, but what are your 3 and 5 year threats to it? And it might be an old piece of equipment. It might be that you can't get labor. It might be that there's external sourcing that's going to obsolete what you're doing, and you're going to have to accelerate the game just to be able to keep up.
So it's strategic planning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the old guy in the group, I will admittedly tell you that most people that work with me know that my favorite machine is any 1940s era Bridgeport. A visit to a plant is not complete unless I get to walk by and see one when they're well cared for.
Yeah.
I like the company. If not, we're going to have a conversation. But a couple of things. One, maybe broaden, when we talk about automation, I'm not talking, again, putting a robot on a machine. As Steve started to allude to, there are other things that what do we spend our time doing? Things like quality checks. If we're doing a lot of manual physical quality checks, there's an opportunity for measurement system error, which could lead to false negatives or positives. A negative angering my customer, or a false positive, I threw away something that probably would have been okay to go.
Sure.
Two, I'm going to go back to the workforce of the future, at a point I'd like to touch on. I learned this a couple of years ago. Do I have any Gen Zs in here? Okay. Did you see how I put his hand up, though? Dude, be proud, man. Be proud. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. Gen Z has never not had this. I'm going to guess if you want to fix something in your house, you don't go look at a Time Life book. What do you do?
Now it's probably AI if you record in Google.
Yeah, right. Google it, YouTube it, get on my Chat GPT. If we're going to continue with future workforces, the workplace is probably going to have some of the benefits that they're used to seeing. I don't want to page my supervisor and wait. I want to be able to IM them. If I want to look something up, I want to be able to look it up and see. These are all automations. I want to know if I'm winning or losing on the course of the day. So being able to track how we're doing and dashboarding and those sorts of things are very important. And it kind of helps with that whole feeling, am I winning or losing? So, and the other one, we always talk about, I work with a client, they gather stuff. They are like the Amazon for the terrarium world. And we found out that they had 6 people walking 13,000 steps across 2 shifts just to get from one point to another was half of it. Well, how much more could they be doing, and what other value-added work could they be doing if they weren't walking those 13,000 steps every single day, losing that time? So there's other forms out there that we can use just to make people more profitable, make it easier, make them happier?
I've got a good example.
Yes, sir.
So we introduced our first electric motorcycle 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and big hit in the marketplace. Customers love it. Our employees hated it. Our dealers hated it. I think you see that in the auto industry now too. That there's a big pull from customer side of things, but the folks that are kind of embedded in the system that has benefited them for a long time feel threatened and whatnot. And so one of the struggles we had was being able to provide customer service. And the dealers didn't want to do it. Our in-house technicians, even though they could do it, resented it. And so what we ended up doing was automating it. We put we have a guy that just loves AI. We challenged him with the thought of putting a vector database together that would essentially gather all of our internal company information. It was tech bulletins, manuals, emails. We even recorded our tech line for a while and converted that to text so that it could be absorbed into this database. And then we've trained that database over the past 6 months just internally to be able to answer questions that customers might have. And it's ready to go live on our website and on people's phones here in the next month. But the whole idea, I should say too, from an internal tech support standpoint, customers are so important to us that that the folks that are on our assembly lines are also our technicians that answer customer questions, and they get pulled off their assembly tasks customer comes first, so they get pulled off their assembly tasks when a customer calls for a tech support call. This will keep them working on the line. It'll keep them happier because they don't necessarily like answering questions on our electric products, and it'll automate the entire system of tech support top to bottom. So we'll see how it goes, but so far so good.
Nice, well done. Anything else? Did we answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Outstanding. Are there any other questions? Anything else, Tom? Yes, sir.
Just curious, the past 8 months since the election, lots talk about reshoring, and curious if you guys are seeing that. I wouldn't expect, I'm thinking, okay, maybe a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years for people to shift stuff back over. What's happening?
Oh, dude just ran the third rail right out there. Is anybody, I'll jump on it. Is anybody
No,
else?
I'd be happy
Go
to
for it.
answer it. So
Yeah,
since we provide equipment, we do see a lot of the activity, but as you're alluding to, it's a slow moving shift, right? It's not like tomorrow. It's been disruptive to the equipment manufacturing business, but it's long term. If the trend stays the way we're hearing back from our customers, then there will be more of it. It's just it's going to be a number of years before you're starting to see some momentum, but it's going to take 1, 2, 3 years before you see a significant portion of it.
A lot of the anytime we get a group setting too, we do our own events at MMTC, and I've been asking this question at any group setting that we have is, of the manufacturers, who's actually seeing more business? And the resounding answer has been, we are seeing increased quote activity, but that hasn't necessarily landed in more business yet. So there's the quoting activity's up, but I think it's going to be a longer process to actually start winning some of that business. So there's a lot of tire kickers as well, just trying to price check to see what it would be here versus wherever it's being manufactured. So not all of that's going to land, but there's definitely, from the manufacturers that we have pulled, there's an increased quote activity that's going on because of the tariffs.
And I think 2 or 3 years might be short.
Yeah, it might.
Coming out of the economic downturn, for us, 2010, was kind of our low spot. We had some choices. We could either put a bunch of cash on the water and buy from our current supply base, and not knowing if we could sell the stuff when we got it on shore or not, after we bolted it on our end product, or the estimation we made is, let's keep our guys and gals working. Even at higher costs, being able to be really flexible and agile to the marketplace was important for us. And what we realized was that all the soft costs associated with importing were actually way bigger than what we ever imagined. And so we kept with that. We kept with that over the years, and it's been a 15-year journey for us to reshore things like brake systems and batteries and engine components and suspension components for our bikes. And in the process, we've realized we can be very competitive, and we can still be profitable because we're so much more agile. Our cash flow is way better, and there's all these what I call soft costs that a lot of people, I think, because of the tariffs, are going to wake up to, and they're going to realize, oh, geez, I can really do this stuff here and make money. I don't have to outsource everything. So hopefully that'll be the case, but I think it's going to take a long time to get from where we are today to where we could be.
All right, I got three things, unfortunately, that I'm going to add to this. All right, so a couple of things. One, the times of COVID tell us they have to. COVID was almost the death of lean, and as an old Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, was very worried about that because people want to hold inventories, or they have to hold inventories, or they've got to figure out some way to shorten their supply chain. So yes, there's a need for it, but if you think about it, that was 5 years ago, and we still haven't come very far. The most recent hesitations that we've seen are probably being driven by uncertainty, plain and simple, because I don't know which direction the country's going from day to day. It's going to settle down. It has to settle down, right? It can't continue to be the way it is because both sides of the aisle agree that manufacturing is our lifeblood, right? But that last one is there's going to have to be some skill sets that have to come back to America, and one of the biggest ones is prototyping. We outsourced our prototyping and engineering capability when we started offshoring and sending things overseas. I was in the automotive business for a very long time, injection molding, and at one point, my tool builder was in Coldwater. I could just drive out and see the tools, and then all of a sudden it moved over to Taiwan because steel was cheaper. Tools from Taiwan weren't very good because they weren't very good at design engineering, but they're really good at it now. They're really good at it now because they're the ones doing it. So that skill set is going to have to kind of start migrating back, or companies that already have that are going to have to grow that, because you can't launch without design and prototype and bring back business. So
That's you.
does that kind of cover the question? Sure. Was I not too depressing? I try to avoid that.
I want to add just one
Sure.
small thing.
You got it, but
My business model was never to purchase overseas. I've been a successful business owner, and I've been USA made here for the most part, with the exception of where I buy my bolts, where I buy my little pins. But everything else, I've kept it in-house, and I have kept it 99.8% made in the USA, and I've made a profitable living and a comfortable living, and I support. And that all stems back to when I was in the 4th grade, dating myself. Clark Equipment left Jackson County, right? And I remember half of my classmates, their parents lost their job. And my teacher at that time had the forethought to say, this is what happens when you send jobs away. And that has never, ever left my brain. And I built a company that was not going, the business model wasn't, hey, let's find cheap labor and cheap prices in China. Let's just make a great product here. And that's what, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a different concept. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
keep
well,
everything here? What?
Or can you vertically integrate?
I know.
Sometimes a company, you may not necessarily be the expert in something, but you have an expertise in it because it's up or down in your supply chain. Is that something that you can adopt, or something, right? We can start growing. I have a couple of customers I'm working with right now that's exactly where they're going, is that they're, in order to build their business, they're just kind of vertically integrating stuff that they used to outsource. So,
Yeah.
thank you. That was positive. You brought us right back on track. Does anybody else have a question?
I want to add one more comment on that. I mean, I'm a millennial. I'm going to label myself there, but on YouTube, anyone familiar with like the smart scrubber? Has anyone seen this YouTube video? There's a gentleman that creates, or he wants to design and manufacture a product 100% in the U.S. It's a 48-minute video on YouTube about the smart scrubber. If you have time, it is highly, highly interesting and entertaining if you're in the manufacturing field. I mean, he goes through the absolute lengths to try not to source from China. He sources from India because he can't find it in the U.S. And then turns out that the Indian supplier is actually a distributor for a Chinese company. Very interesting. He talks about tooling and some of the difficulties with tooling and having to pull someone out of retirement to make a tool for him. So if you're interested as far as the current landscape and some of the headwinds, I'm happy to hear that Angling AI is sourcing and Cobra is as well. But watch that video if you're interested about learning more about the space and some of the challenges and headwinds.
And if you didn't catch the title or you just want to have a conversation on that, we do have a booth over Follow the Fan. And Steve will be happy to talk to you a little bit more about that or get you the links.
Yeah.
Okay, so no more questions out here? You're all exhausted? All right. I'm going to go down and just thinking about the experiences that you've already had, the businesses you've already worked with, the things that you've already developed. We're not going to be, right, nobody's got a crystal ball. But where would you like to see automation go over the next 5 or 10 years? We can't predict the businesses, but what do you think as far as either your own business or automation in general?
Start here.
Yeah, we'll just run down the table.
Booms. The way I look at automation is, I kind of hinted at this earlier. It started in 2D, right, with CNC equipment and things moving around in the X and Y axis, and then I went to 3D, and then I went to 4D and 5D with 5-axis machines, machine tools, and now we've got arms that are doing things, and we have had arms, for welding in the automotive industry for quite a while. But I think where things are heading, if you kind of just follow that pattern of things becoming more and more articulating more and more. I was just reading a thing on Tesla and what is their robot called? The Optimus, I think.
Yeah, Optimus, yes.
They're going to make 1 million of those things. The humanoid robots, they're going to have 1 million humanoid robots in a few years. And I just think that's the natural progression. I don't know where they're going to end up, but the whole idea that we live in a human world that was designed by humans and humans interact in that world, the idea that you're going to have a humanoid robot to do a lot of things is probably closer than what we think. Maybe a little scary.
Yeah, for orbit form, I think the big trend that has started and is progressing but still has a way to go to be a big advantage to us is really how job shop type manufacturing gets automated. So a lot of the tools have become easier to interface with and more flexible. I think that like I said, there's a trend in that direction to help us out, because our quantities of make are anywhere from 1 to 100. So we're not making a whole lot of each piece when we set up generally. We do have a couple pockets they're bigger than that. I do think, things like AI, some of the advances in some of the robotic technology, those things are going to help the adaptability and the ability to quickly change between parts that are going to be advantageous to us. But that's a trend I'm really looking at and making, I really want to see it continue so that we can continue on our journey of implementing automation.
I'm not going to say anything new necessarily here. Physical AI, actually having humanoid robots, the form factor that the whole world that we live in is designed around someone that's between 5 foot tall and 6'5" with 2 arms. And I've done automation projects where you take a single articulating robot that was previously performed by an operator and having to redesign the whole cell to fit that form factor of that robot. So there's a compelling case for humanoid robots in manufacturing. We'll probably see it in hospitals and personal assistants before we see it in manufacturing facilities, but that there's an attractiveness there as far as automation goes. It's going to have some type of AI greater than we have today to perceive the world that it's in and articulate parts. But that's a trend that's coming. We're talking about AI on the data front too. Actually using for your admin work and your some of your workflow management. The foundation of being able to use AI across your enterprise is actually having like a data strategy. That isn't talked about enough. It's how do we use AI? How do we use AI I want AI to do this. And really what we need to be thinking about is taking a step back and really focusing on our data and how our data is structured, where our data lives, so that we can actually be in a position where we can use artificial intelligence in whatever form, machine learning, Gen AI, whatever it may be. I love the support case that Sean's team's doing. If you're an OEM, that's a great tool if to provide service. But yeah, preparing your data, physical AI as we move into the future, but it's all going to have to be centered around humans too. I mean, you're seeing some industry 5.0 or people 4.0, where you're applying technologies and making sure that the human is at the center of this. It's not to remove the human, but it's to ensure that the human capabilities are maximized to the fullest capability. So I think that there needs to be human focus as we move into the future with all of these different technologies that we're talking about. Is how do we make sure that that works well with humans, and we're really excelling those capabilities of human critical thinking, dexterity, things of that nature. So we'll see. But I would say prepare for the future. Start with the foundation, data, and then you'll be in a better position to go whichever way the technologies go when they are available.
I would like to just add something that's not such a broad stroke, but something that's going to happen pretty soon. And I'm hoping is a little more practical for everybody sitting here, which I don't draw circles and squares. I'm not a job shop, right? I make organic shapes and stuff like that. So on a design standpoint, there's lots of great technology out there to do and create organic shapes with AI and that. But the handshake between generating these three-dimensional shapes and being able to have something that you can work from on a manufacturing standpoint, that handshake hasn't happened yet, right? So I'm waiting for a more practical, we're going to generate an AI-generated shape and then output a usable CAD type file that we can just start manufacturing from. Like, that's coming soon. I know a couple of things, but like, if no one's done the research, all right, and I'm paying this engineer to try to get this done, and he's having problems with getting the right textures or whatever, it's going to happen pretty soon. And for me, that's my biggest pain point, right? Is now I'm running a business and I'm not generating the products I need to generate. And then so how do I alleviate that? And AI is going to help that. Just that little tiny transition. It's not, it's not earth shattering, but if we're all manufacturers and we all have that, like, how long is it going to take to draw this? And there already is AI out there that's generating, code and tool paths and stuff like that in seconds. So it's just that one little notch that we're waiting on, so that we can watch things take off once you clean that up a little bit.
Anything else to add? I'm only going to touch on one thing, that if we're going to use automation and we're going to leverage AI and we're going to design humanoid robots, my hope that we start to see from the implementation of automation is that we spend a little more time on us as a species and as people, because if I'm saving time, what can I do with that time? How do I invest it back in? If I can build a house better, faster, cheaper, stronger, how many people can I build a house for? Right? What kind of problems within our own society can we fix by leveraging the technology that we're using to make parts now? And that's kind of what I'm hoping we start to see over the next 5 to 10. Sure.
Yeah, I did have a question when it comes to humanoid robots and like working in a cell or something. So do you suspect it's going to be collaborative? So actually is what's a humanoid robot first, and that let's use the robots on their own, because I don't like all the videos I've seen of humanoid robots. They're still kind of slow compared to the human. So I suspect it's going to be collaborative, and then when people go home, they're still working or something.
I can answer that, or take a stab at it at least. that's one of the bigger problems right now with the full-size humanoid robots is they're 200 plus pounds, and it's walking.
Easy now.
Well,
I can only wish.
yeah. Well, a cognitive ability and dexterity at
Easy
being
now.
250 pounds. Safety is the biggest concern right now. So, like, if I have a humanoid robot walking through a facility working with an operator, and that humanoid robot steps on my toes and it breaks my toes, that's a problem. So, there are smaller form factors that are less than 200 plus pounds and won't break your foot if it steps on you. But from the humanoid topic, that's one of the bigger concerns right now is how do we deploy these safely where it's collaborative, where a human and a humanoid robot can work together. So the jury's still out as far as how to best do that and make it collaborative. But yes, I would say that is the intention of most is to have humanoid robots and humans working almost interchangeably on a task or with each other on a task.
Teaching's gotten a lot easier for robots too. We've seen technologies. We were in Chicago last year, and we actually watched a robotic arm that you were capable of teaching just visually using cameras and telling it what you wanted it to do. And once that one robot learned the task, every other interconnected robot learned that same thing, and that learning could be transferred too. So moving in that direction, but I would agree. I don't want them just running around, and I sure hope that there's some safety gates up there as we're starting it out. So, although I still think I could take 200 pounds with cognitive ability in a cage match. Anything else, folks? Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning, folks. We appreciate you coming. Have a good day.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Yeah. They sure. No. Yep.